Good afternoon and welcome to Shine with Julie. I apologize. I had technical difficulties last week and I did not realize that this did not happen last week on my platforms. But here we are. And what I really want to talk to you about today is the heart wall. And the reason why I want to talk to you about this today is because there's been several times in the last few days, week, where I've been reminded of how important the heart really is in communicating with others, in self-acceptance. And part of this was driven by a post that one of my mentors posted, and I want to read it to you first. It says, "If people misunderstand you, do not worry. It is your voice that they hear, but what goes through their mind is their own thoughts." And that really struck me because it's true. We all filter what's coming around us through our own perceptions, through our own body, through our own mind. So let's use this as a real world example, right? You're in communication with your spouse and you think you've said one thing and they interpret it as something completely different. Now, a little bit different than the post, what I want to talk to you about today is we do have a responsibility in certain ways in how we're projecting what we're putting out there. And the heart wall, and just a very quick description of a heart wall, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is our body has really two thought centers: our mind, our brain, and our heart. And our heart is that feeling brain, right? It's where everything passes through that we feel. It's our emotional center. And you might have heard people who get transplants, heart transplants, they start feeling certain ways about certain things or people that they don't quite understand because you know what? That heart is transporting that information into that other body. So it's kind of interesting if you read about heart transplants, what can actually happen because of that. But the body is an insane masterpiece. And our heart does not want to feel broken. It does not want to feel heartache. So at the earliest spot in our life where we have felt hurt or not even felt it, if our mind perceived, our unconscious mind, if our unconscious mind perceived hurt, heartache in any way, it goes to work in protecting you. And that's its ultimate job, is to keep you safe. So what it does is it starts to layer those unprocessed emotions over your heart. And it thinks that this beautiful blanket is to help you. But over time, it can really hurt you in unintended ways. And you would not intentionally hurt yourself. Most people would not intentionally hurt themselves. However, we're going to talk about 4 key ways that this can be seen in your life today. So if you recognize any of these, connect with me, because there are ways, and we'll talk about a few of them, that you can remove the heart wall, keep it at bay. Every time new heartache happens, it tries to reinstall the heart wall. So it's not like it's something that once you remove it, it'll never, ever grow back. I'm not going to tell you that because that's false. But there are things that you can do as preventative measures to make sure that it doesn't have the same impact going forward that it might have right now. As a 51-year-old, I've had years of protection, right? So I've had to really work on removing my heart wall from past traumas, past perceived traumas, things that you might have felt a certain way, even though somebody didn't intend it that way. It might have felt like heartache to you. So I've really worked hard to remove my heart wall, but there are times when I find it's grown back. So let's talk about what it can cause so that you recognize if this is something that you need to focus on in your life. Number one, believe it or not, it can affect your immune system. And in this day and age, I know that everybody wants a strong immune system. So let's not let the heart wall, a simple thing to get rid of, prevent us from having a strong functioning immune system. The second way is that it prevents you from being received as intended or from receiving communication as intended by the other person. And again, remember what I said, unprocessed emotions are creating like a blanket around your heart. So anything that comes in and goes out communication wise is being filtered through that blanket. So depending on how heavy that blanket is, it might not get out at all as you intended, or it might have a little bit of the intent. So you just want to make sure if you are in a relationship or you are in, and I say relationship loosely, this could be, a loving relationship. It can be a relationship with your family of origin. It could be work relationships, a good friend relationship, but a relationship that you often feel like you are sending something out in a loving manner, but it is being received differently repeatedly. This is not a one-time thing, but a repeated thing where your friend or your spouse or your coworker or your boss is saying, to you, wow, I really didn't, why are you attacking me? Or I can't believe you're coming at me like that. Something like that should trigger you to say, that is not at all how I intended that. So really pay attention to those feedbacks that you're getting, because it is just that. It's feedback to let you know that, maybe I need to look at what's going on. How am I saying something? Because you might be saying, I love you, but on the other end, as it gets through those layers of that heart wall blanket, they're hearing, I'm awful. You don't love me. I can't believe you did that to me. But that's not at all what you said. So the other thing is that it can prevent you from seeing the opportunities and the blessings around you. If you are a business owner and you are looking for new clients, they could be out there standing outside your door waving at you, and you are physically unable to see them because your heart wall is preventing you from seeing blessings and opportunities that are right before your eyes. So if you have been struggling for a while in a goal that you want to achieve, and again, this can be a personal goal, it can be a business goal, it does not matter, and you constantly feel like the world is against you, nothing ever works out for you, it may or may not be that. It might be that those opportunities were there, you didn't recognize them, and you let them pass you by for a moment. Not that they can't come back. It's not like they're gone forever. If they are really meant to be yours, that opportunity will come again, maybe in a different package, right? So that's one of them. And then the fourth way that this could really play a factor in your life is self-acceptance. And this is something that is a huge focus of mine right now, because it really drives the rest of everything, right? If you are constantly beating yourself up, thinking there's something wrong with you, wrong with how you talk, or wrong with how you are presenting your business to the world, how you look, name it, right? We can beat ourselves up for just about anything. And if you're the type of person who sits down at the end of a busy day and those thoughts go through your head about everything you did wrong, what you didn't get done, what you could have done better, shoulda, coulda, woulda, if you look at the body in the mirror and constantly pick at what is not right and can't find a loving thing to say about yourself, then you got a problem with self-acceptance. And again, it's feedback, right? It's a starting place. But part of the thing that contributes to that is a heart wall, because you are actually protecting yourself from being hurt. So you do the hurting first. I know it seems kind of twisted and weird, but it's reality. So I've said many times that it's easy to remove this heart wall. And you might be thinking, I barely know what a heart wall is. How can I remove it easily? There are a couple of ways that the heart wall can be removed. One that I know of for sure is emotion code therapy. I'm going to call it therapy, emotion code, emotional release work. Where you work with a practitioner, or you can even buy the book. Emotion Code is a book. It's a modality that was developed by Dr. Brad Nelson, and his book is available. I know many people who have started there. They go through the book and they start removing their own unprocessed emotions, those emotions that have gotten trapped and are layered over your heart. It has a great section on understanding the heart wall. But essentially, what happens when you work with a practitioner, such as myself or somebody else certified in that work, is that we are able to tap into that unconscious mind and identify those emotions that are built over the heart and remove them. And once those are removed in this fashion, those emotions are gone. Those unprocessed emotions are gone. And that layer of the blanket is now free. And sometimes it takes a while. If you have a really strong layered heart wall, it's going to take a while. It's not something that's going to go away in one session, but it can go away. And then as you start to move through your healing process, then if a trauma happens or if something happens to where your heart decides, ooh, I need to rebuild that, the layers aren't as deep because you're continuing on your journey of self-care and really keeping on top of that. So if a heart wall does get rebuilt, it can usually be brought back down in one session because, again, you haven't had those years of layers. I didn't start this work on myself and also asking other practitioners to help me until I was 49 years old. It's a lot of life. That's a lot of perceived hurts, perceived heartaches, and true heartaches, right? Nobody is immune to that. So that is one way. The other way is meditation. And I'll be talking more about this in the coming weeks because this is something that I've really had my eyes opened with. I used to think meditation was kooky and weird, and who has time to just sit? Who has time to just sit? Well, whether it's 3 minutes or 30 minutes, it is valuable because it really gets your mind and your whole heart to take a moment of relaxation, to take a moment of reflection. And there's all kinds of meditations out there. And again, I'll share some examples in a future session with you. But essentially, you want to find one that's targeted around, the things that we've talked about. Self-acceptance, about just releasing any past hurts or traumas, making peace with them. Sometimes you don't even have to relive them. You just got to make peace with the fact that they happened, and then you can move on. And it's really just allowing yourself to let all of that stuff flow by you. And I loved this coach that I worked with because she was very clear on language and how if something comes up during a meditation or during a journaling process, something that, used to have a lot of charged negative energy for you, simply use the word interesting. Isn't that interesting? And even when you say it, it's like a non-committal, it doesn't have a lot of emotion to it. It's just factual. It's just interesting. It's a neutral word, so that it can bring down some of that negative emotion. And then the third way that I've really been playing around with lately is essential oils. And there are a couple that I've really found that have helped with the self-acceptance, with the heart. If you have an argument with somebody that is close to you, or you have really strong feelings about something that's happening within a relationship, and again, it could be any kind of relationship, don't let that bitterness or anger or hurt, whatever the word is that you want to put to that, don't let it build in your heart space. Really, you can apply or even aromatically smell a certain essential oil. This one that I have is Forgive. And the name says itself, right? But sometimes it's forgiving another person. Sometimes it's forgiving you. And just getting that around you just changes the triggers in your brain. And the smell is incredible. Our nose sense is pretty fascinating because it really is a quick receptor to your brain. So if you smell an essential oil that is geared towards something that you're trying to release or protect, it has a way of quick trick the brain, and the brain just settles down, which settles down the heart, which settles down, your whole body senses. So Forgive is one that I absolutely love. I often pair that with something like a geranium, or with a grapefruit, which is a self-care. Both geranium and grapefruit are great for that self-acceptance we talked about, quit beating yourself up, as well as bergamot. And sometimes you just got to play around with them and see what really resonates with you. Florals or citrus. Some people are floral driven. This is rose. Rose is known to be the highest frequency oil in the world. And I often roll this right over my heart space. Again, when you are feeling down, when you are feeling upset at yourself or another, that's a great way to just calm that energy and really protect that heart space, because that's your job. That's part of what I think our job is to take care of us so that we can interact with people as we want to, because sometimes we're bringing all of our own trapped junk into a relationship space. And again, that could be a marriage, it could be a friendship, it could be, a relationship with a parent or a sibling or a child. And we just want to make sure that we are taking care of our heart space as much as we possibly can. We cannot own another person's responses, so please don't take it that way. But if we're doing everything on our part, then we can feel good at the end of the day when we lay down and we replay the day. We can feel good about our role in whatever's happened. We did our personal best to make sure we showed up today as best we could. So if you want any resources about the things that I've talked about, go ahead and DM me, message me on whatever platform you're watching this on, and I would be happy to share more. Until then, I believe in your capability to shine out there. And if you are not quite sure about that yet, please borrow my belief, because I borrowed others' belief for a long time, and I'd gladly give it to you. Until next time, bye.